6:34 right now. Mayor Woodfin is not supporting the idea to widen Interstate 65 from Huntsville to Mobile. In a tweet, the mayor says, quote, "Instead of pouring millions into widening I-65, which studies show won't alleviate congestion, why not invest in high-speed rail?" Woodfin says this will connect communities, reduce traffic, and lead to sustainable infrastructure. Well, this idea of making I-65 6 lanes from Huntsville to Mobile picks up steam after Trump promises to start work on it if he wins the 2024 presidential election. Well, Trump making this pledge during his visit to the Alabama Republican Party's summer dinner in Montgomery last Friday. Now, the project is championed by Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. Let's have a conversation about the absolute brilliant idea that the mayor of Birmingham has come up with. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant in the sense that it's incredibly stupid. What's it really about? It's about a train from Birmingham to Mobile. And that's great. Wonderful idea. Great idea. Yeah, we should totally do that. Except it's really stupid and we should not. I-65, there's been a lot of talk about widening that road. It has come from President Donald Trump, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, and many others in the state of Alabama. And at least that makes sense because the congestion is bad, and we should try to fix that. The train does nothing to resolve that issue, and everyone knows it, including Randall Woodfin. He writes, "Instead of pouring millions into widening I-65, which studies show won't alleviate congestion, why not invest in high-speed rail? We can connect communities, reduce traffic, and make Alabama a leader in sustainable infrastructure. A train to the beach is way better than driving." Yeah, a train to the beach would be way better than driving. No question about it. So I would agree with that. That's great. But so what? Flying to the beach would be better too. Teleporting to the beach would also be great. It doesn't mean it makes any sense as a public policy. This is just him pushing back against Will Ainsworth and Donald Trump. He gets headlines like this: "A train to the beach would be way better than driving." Yes, that's absolutely correct. AL.com, never seen a stupid idea they don't like, loves this. These are the same people who the other day were advocating for drug addicts and advocating against their babies, saying, no, don't charge drug addicts with harming their babies. That's wrong. Same people, same people. Now, you could look at what citizens are doing when they react to this. They're sounding incredibly brain dead. Like this: Alabama leaders have no vision. High-speed rail from all four corners of the state. Then intermodal rail from all big cities. Traffic would be a breeze, and you would get more people enjoying different parts of the state other than where they live. Great idea, sir. Yeah, sure. As a vacation you would take once a year, it sounds fantastic. As something that would be used daily by people, no. We don't have enough people in the state to make this worthwhile. There aren't going to be people working in Birmingham and living in Montgomery, at least not enough of them to do this every day. And this is not something that would be economical in any way. We'll get to all of that in just a second. Let's just continue to go over what this is actually about. It's about Randall Woodfin getting positive attention. Birmingham sports rights would be smart, which tells you that they are not very smart. Laura Forbes writes, "I need a train to all SEC destinations so I don't have to drive to Atlanta to save money versus flying out of Birmingham to see my child play in a few years. If the trains went to the primary areas most traveled based on pure research, of course the beach, let's do it. But we need a lottery." So lots of bad ideas in that. One banking on Sports Kid in the future to play in all these SEC places, and the state of Alabama to help foot the bill when mom decides to go follow them. And it all continues just as smart as you think it is. All these very smart people coming up with these great ideas, like Mr. Professor Coach Swim, who writes, "Woodfin clearly stated that both would exist," talking about trains and cars. "So you could drive the distance you want to carry your huge items, which none are astronomically large. I'll simply take the train to get there quicker. Imagine just bopping down for the evening and then back home." I don't know how fast you think these trains go, but they think they're bopping down from Birmingham to the Gulf Coast for the evening and then returning that same evening. I don't think that is actually going to happen. This is actually all about this tweet. Randall Woodfin is likely to run for a third consecutive term as Birmingham mayor. He intimated on a podcast released Sunday. It's about getting attention for his mayoral run. And he can't talk about the good things that are going on in Birmingham because, crime. And the city has gone from the largest city in the state to the third largest city in the state under his tenure. So this is just him looking for a way to not be a loser. And this really stupid idea is a really good way to do that. And by the way, let's look at this, as the kids say, this drip. He's got the glasses, he's got the turtleneck, he's got the jacket. Doesn't he look smart? I mean, he looks smart. I mean, he doesn't sound very smart, but he looks very, very smart. And to show you how stupid this is, let's look at MSNBC's Joyce Allen Vance. Joyce Aline Vance? I don't know. Joyce Vance. Mr. Mayor knows that Trump's promise is empty. And let's just say it is. Let's agree that maybe that is. Okay, I will give her that premise. It's an empty political promise, no question. Even if he widen I-65, which is unlikely, it won't solve the region's issues. Here's a real solution that would make Alabama great. Now, again, Joyce Vance is an MSNBC talking head now. She's stealing money from the University of Alabama by teaching there because these poor kids are not getting anything of value. But this is not a smart tweet. Let's talk about why. Can we talk about money? Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 down in Mobile, actually I think made a pretty good point here. One that's not getting nearly enough attention. And that is that the high-speed rail project in San Francisco that goes to L.A. is costing $200 million per mile. That means a line from Birmingham to Mobile will cost $51.6 billion. That would be far, far the most expensive infrastructure project in the history of the state. And that's true. Obviously, it would be. You know why? Because that project would be 17 times the annual general fund budget of the state. So if you spent that much money, you could do it as long as you did not pay a state employee, or provide any services for the state except for building this train so these guys can bop on down to the beach and then come back to Birmingham. Seems like a good investment. But let's just be honest here for a second. Let's say that it doesn't cost $51.6 billion. Let's cut it in half. Land's expensive in California. So now we're talking about what? $25.8 billion? So we'd be talking about 17 years the way they're talking about it, and obviously half of that would be 8.5 years to pay for it with Alabama's cheap land values. And we're going to do construction up and down the interstate. And by the way, this is just his idea. Birmingham to Mobile. Doesn't even take into account all the other geniuses that say, and to Huntsville, and Scottsboro, and Florence, and Dothan. These people are not smart. This is a liberal dream. Spend a lot of money on infrastructure projects, say that it'll help with climate change, say that it will help with congestion, all these other things. It will do none of these things because nobody will ride the train. We have a train now, an Amtrak, that you could ride from Birmingham to New Orleans. I mean, you could do that. It will take you forever to do that, but you could do that. Because it has a lot of stops along the way, it even takes longer. But these ideas are not that. These ideas are like high-speed rail from the major cities. Meaning you have to live in one of those major cities to get to one of the other major cities. Otherwise, you're going to have to drive to that facility and then get on the train and go that way. This is a completely unfeasible idea. And here is what I would suggest for the mayor of the city of Birmingham. And I know this isn't going to be popular, but here's what I would suggest for the mayor. Come up with a proposal here that actually makes sense. You have connections with all the mayors in all the cities. Aren't you part of some mayor group? Are they still in there? Is Birmingham still big enough to be in that group? But come up with an idea, pitch it to those guys, get them behind it, and then pitch it to the Alabama legislature. Let's spend the budget for 9 years on a train so your constituents can bop on down to the beach. Let's do that. I'm in on this idea. Pitch it, and let's make it happen. Of course, you're not going to do that because it's just your reelection. This is about your reelection and nothing more. So we know it's an empty idea, which is obvious because it's really, really stupid.